Alright, this time around I'm going to try something different because I did not record my first attempt at solving this, which I did in about 5 minutes. I'm going to do a step-by-step solve. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of a different perspective into how I approach some of these models. So we're going to go ahead and start a millimeter sketch, or a millimeter part. I'm going to adjust my material properties so I don't forget them later. And then I'm going to go ahead and start a sketch on my front plane. First thing I notice is that there's this circle on the right side where there's a bunch of dimensions coming from it that that constrain the overall length. So that's where I want to place my origin. And I'm going to start with that external circle, and then I'm also going to create a slot over on the right, or on the left side here. So I'm going to start with two bodies, and actually I want to do these in two separate sketches. So let's go ahead and extrude this circle. We're going to extrude it up 50 millimeters. Okay, cool. Go right back to our top plane. There we go. Create another sketch. We're going to do our slot. So we'll have, there we go. Pick up that coincident to origin relationship. Cool. We have a dimension over here for the radius of the circle, or of the slot. We also have this dimension that constrains that position, so that's 125. Then we have our center point dimension of 50 millimeters. So done there. Let's go ahead and extrude this up 25 millimeters and call that a day. Again, back to our top plane. We're going to convert that arc and this arc. We're going to make those coincident there. Cool. I'm going to make those two tangent. And I'm going to do the exact same thing on this other side. So pick up the tangent relationship there. Cool. Bring that down. Make those two tangent as well. And now the tricky bit, which is trimming these two together. So I'm just going to very gently power trim over that and power trim over that. And then power trim that away. Now we have that shaded contour, which means we're good to go. Could also do a contour selection within the extrude feature itself. So now we have our overall shape. We've extruded it up 15 millimeters. Now we can do our cuts. The reason we do the cuts, or the reason that I like to do some of the cuts last, is because then I don't have to convert a bunch of these entities of these internal holes and forget about parts that I may extrude something and have it poking out through the inside of these walls. If I do the cuts last, I know the cuts are going to be clean all the way through. So we'll start with a 40 millimeter circle. I'll go ahead and make two lines here between that circle and that circle, and there to there. Go ahead and convert this circle as well, and I'm going to trim away those two parts. Now I'm going to make these, or this 2 millimeters, and I'm going to make these two equal length. And that's just a geometric property. Those two lines will be equal length, and that will make this centered around this point here. Also, I actually didn't need to trim away everything there. So let me undo a little bit. I needed to just trim away that portion and that portion in the middle. And then again, going back in, adding this 2 millimeter dimension and making those two equal length. Cool. Now this I can go ahead and extrude cut through all, right mouse button to go ahead and finish that up. And I can also have created the slot in this sketch as well, because we're doing through all. So I'll go ahead and pick up those two relations and do that. This slot is dimensioned from its width, which is 22 millimeters through all, and there we go. Now we're going to go ahead and create a sketch on this inside plane because we already have that there. I'm going to convert this line there as well, so I'm not modeling off the outside edge and having an extra face to delete later, which I could do as well. I'm just going to pick up that inside line, and then I'm going to go ahead and create a line, arc, and a line. And again, trim away that bit and that. Start a dimension. We're going to go ahead and bring up 26 millimeters there. Now our overall width, holding shift to pick up that outside edge of the circle rather than the center point, 54 millimeters, and our radius here of 14 millimeters. Cool. We're going to go ahead and extrude this out. This is dimensioned a little weird, so it's 22 millimeters from the center, so that's 22 divided by 2, and then also minus 1 because this center slot is 2 millimeters wide, so half of that is 1, so just 10 millimeter boss extrude. Actually, let me go ahead and make sure that I do boss extrude, not cut extrude. There we go, 10 millimeters, and we're going to go opposite direction. Cool. Another thing that I forgot to mention is there is a circular hole that goes all the way through, so let's go ahead and jump back in and add it. Instead of making a new cut extrude, we can just add it into the same sketch and it'll pick it up automatically. We'll mirror this over the front plane. Cool, everything looks good. And actually, before we even mirror that, we can also do a fillet, but let's just go ahead and fillet from here. Cool. Let's see if any of these pick up. Alright, we got one edge. Could have just picked that up myself instead. Alright, and our radius is 8 millimeters. We're going to go ahead and hit OK and get our mass properties. 1,300 grams, that's exactly what it should be. Hopefully you guys learned something from that approach rather than watching me speed through it and just give a couple of tips. But that's how I would model this part, which is 11-06-pole bracket, which we're going to save in the correct folder of SolidWorks practice. Alrighty, so that's that model all done.